Good morning, distinguished guests, esteemed faculty, and my dear friends. Welcome to the first day of Conventus 2024, the annual management conclave of International Management Institute, New Delhi. Conventus derived from Latin, which means coming together. It symbolizes our gathering to reflect on and contribute to these evolving challenges and opportunities. As we gather here today, we acknowledge the era of profound transformations, where India's ambition to become a $7 trillion economy is taking shape. The host for today, Tanisha, and I, Lakshay, are thrilled to guide you through the Corporate Sustainability Leadership Summit as part of Conventus 2024. This year's summit revolves around the theme Sustainable Governance, Green Energy Transition, Community Impact, India on the path to becoming a $7 trillion economy by 2030. As India strives to become a $7 trillion economy, this theme highlights the critical balance between rapid economic growth and environmental responsibility. The journey to a greener economy is central, especially in the shift from non-renewable to renewable energy sources. However, this transition presents its own set of challenges, such as high initial investment costs, regulatory barriers, and infrastructure limitations. We will explore how Indian businesses are navigating these hurdles by embracing environmental, social governance, and corporate social responsibility practices, especially in the renewable energy sector. Sustainable governance is the key to ensuring resilience while addressing the human dimension, creating jobs, improving health outcomes, and enabling access to cleaner energy. This summit provides a platform to delve into how sustainable growth aligns with community impact, demonstrating how corporate actions contribute not only to the economic growth but also to the social well-being.
Before we continue, we would like to showcase the Conventus 2024 theme video to set the context for today's discussion.
A nation like no other, with people of unlimited potential, is on the brink of unprecedented glory. The story of India is one of ups and downs, of navigating challenges and managing conflicts, of finding harmony amidst chaos. Now, the stage is set. India has dared to dream, a dream of becoming a $7 trillion economy.
The unstoppable force behind this long journey has been the people of the country. The next chapter in India's history will be marked by
GDP, growth driven by people. The people are the engines of our economy. The key to success for businesses is to convert their potential into purpose. When human resources are empowered and engaged, real value is unlocked and dreams are turned into reality.
It's time to explore the best practices of the businesses that have made a mark by being of the people, for the people, by the people. So, let us be all ears for their stories and ideas and learn from their rich experiences.
We are honored to have a panel of esteemed leaders with us today who will share their insights on these critical topics. We would like to introduce them to you with a token of gratitude. For this, we would invite Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal to welcome our speaker, Mr. Arun Arora. Mr. Arun is the Director of Strategy, Communications, CSR and ESG at Maven, Chetak Logistics, and the head of Chetak Foundation. He is a seasoned communications and development sector veteran with over 38 years of experience. A mechanical engineer with an MBA and additional qualifications in hotel management, journalism, and mass communications, Mr. Arun has held significant roles in communication, CSR, and sustainability at prominent organizations, including Escorts, Maruti Suzuki, and Vedanta. Mr. Arun remains a passionate advocate for continuous learning and growth. Thank you for joining us for the summit. Now, welcoming our next speaker, Mr. Biswajit Majumdar, with a gesture of gratefulness. Mr. Biswajit is a senior IT leader and sustainability lead of Tata Consultancy Services. He brings over 2 decades of experience at TCS, working with clients across financial services, media, and retail. He has led complex IT transformation programs globally while championing sustainability initiatives in the workplace. In addition to his leadership role, Mr. Biswajit heads the sustainability practice for a business unit serving over 50 retail clients in the USA. He has established a citizen initiative in Kolkata that has planted over 3,000 trees, promoting a sustainability mindset among fellow citizens and school children. We are delighted to have you with us today. Moving forward, we welcome our next speaker, Mr. Rahul Prasad, with a gesture of gratitude. Mr. Rahul is the head of Skill and Entrepreneurship Development Institute, Ambuja Foundation. He is a dedicated social transformation leader with over 14 years of experience in empowering rural marginalized youth. As the head of the Skill and Entrepreneurship Development Institute in New Delhi, he focuses on grassroots livelihood creation and has been actively engaged in child rights and rural empowerment initiatives. Recognized with the Karamveer Puraskar Jyoti Award, Mr. Rahul has built a robust network with NGOs and public and private sector to scale up livelihoods and drive social impact. We are happy to have you with us today. Next, we would like to welcome Mr. Utpal Nath with a token of appreciation. Mr. Utpal is the chairperson and chief impact officer of Kolong Foundation. He is an experienced management consultant and strategist with over 25 years of experience in industries such as engineering, telecommunications, and fintech. With a strong focus on innovation and sustainable development, he has held leadership roles in global corporations and is currently leading the Kolong Foundation, which emphasizes social impact through business innovations. Under his leadership, the foundation has launched initiatives that integrate emerging technologies to empower marginalized communities. Mr. Utpal is recognized for his thought leadership in decentralized economy and social entrepreneurship, and he is dedicated to fostering community development through economic upliftment and environmental sustainability. We are honored to have you as part of our summit.
Now we would like to invite Secretary of Jagriti, the Social Responsibility Club, Simran Jain, to welcome Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal to express our gratitude. To steer this important discussion, we are privileged to have Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal as a moderator. Dr. Goyal is a professor of strategy at IMI New Delhi with an extensive background in sustainable business practices. In her current capacity as Dean Academics, she is spearheading all the full-time PGDM programs towards academic excellence. Prior to that, she held various administrative positions such as Dean Career Development and Alumni Services, Dean International Relations, and as a program chair. She is a PhD from the Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi, in the area of strategic management. She has teaching and research interest in sustainable development and social responsibility. She has published academic cases and held top management leadership programs, sessions on strategy thinking and execution, CSR, and sustainable development for some of the leading Indian corporates. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, Ms. Anjali Divakar from Marili is unable to join us at the summit today. In line with the main theme of Conventus 2024, Jagriti, the Social Responsibility Club, is proud to present the Corporate Sustainability Leadership Summit under the theme Sustainable Governance, Green Energy Transition, and Community Impact. The summit focuses on the strategies that Indian businesses are adopting to transition towards green energy while fostering community well-being and addressing challenges like regulatory and financial hurdles. Through this summit, we aim to provide valuable insights into how companies can align economic growth with environmental responsibility, creating sustainable business models, and not only reduce reliance on fossil fuels, but also drive positive community impact. Our esteemed panelists will share real-world examples and strategies for overcoming these challenges and fostering innovation and resilience in India's path to becoming a $7 trillion economy. Let us now have a glimpse at today's topic of discussion.
I am more optimistic today about India as a whole economically than I have been for a long time.
Most of the world's major financial institutions agree India is set to see significant economic growth in the coming years.
We now request Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal to take the discussion forward.
Thank you. A very good morning to all our students and our esteemed panel members here. And I'm delighted to be here as a moderator for this panel discussion. So first of all, let me congratulate the student body for selecting a wonderful theme for today. And so our anchors have very well articulated the context for this panel, which is basically energy, green energy transition, sustainable governance, and community development. So we have a very diverse panel from various companies. Unfortunately, one panel member could not join today morning, but nevertheless, we have people who are representing logistics and consulting and a foundation like Kolong people coming all the way from Assam for this. Thank you so much for making it here. And an infra company, Ambuja Cement. So a good representation by different panel members. But just to set the context, India has a very strong, a very ambitious goal to achieve, which is to become a $7 trillion economy by 2030. So what we need to actually think about today, and maybe continue to think, as to what can the corporate in India do to make that happen while also not impacting the environment negatively, to ensure that we are net zero and we are moving towards decarbonization, as well as trying to see to it that all our sustainability goals are also well within control. So while we are talking about economic growth, which is something which really defines our robustness as a country and our power, economic power, but it's also important that we are also steering ourselves towards our sustainability goals. So that is the agenda. And also to let you know that, India has been doing well on that front for last many years and has been consciously thinking about it. In 2013, as you're aware, that we started the company, the CSR Act, and we mandated CSR as, something which a company which is making some profits has to essentially invest in, which is basically partnering with the government for social impact. Parallelly, as you all would know, and you've also studied that all good companies, especially SEBI-listed companies, have to also do their disclosures on BRSR, which is a sustainability aspect of it, right? So we're talking here about good governance, transparency, disclosures, honest disclosures, complete disclosures. That means you're adhering to sustainability principles, as well as you are somewhere going beyond the business and also working on the CSR front, where you're doing community impact. So this is what the theme of this panel discussion is today. And without saying much more, I'm going to ask or request our panel members here. So I've penned down a few questions for our esteemed panel members. So let me start with Arun. And just to let you also know that Mr. Arun Arora is our own alum. From the times when when we didn't even have this campus in place, we were operating from east of Kailash. So he's our own alum, and he's of course done very great things, being part of many other companies. Currently, he's the director of strategy, communications, CSR, and ESG at Maven, which is basically a Chetak logistics company, and he's head of Chetak Foundation. So thank you so much for taking out time and being here with us. And this is a very broad portfolio, Arun, of saying that you are working from strategy to CSR to ESG, which basically also says that this company is somewhere talking about integrating ESG and CSR into the business strategy itself. So how is Maven able to really make impact on sustainability? That is something which all our students would like to know. Whether your impact is only on green energy transition, or it's also on community impact and sustainable governance. Any of those areas where you can highlight as to what that impact is. So It's all yours now.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm really delighted and honored to be back at my institution. I studied at IMI 500 years ago. So many of you may not have been born. I always used to blame my parents for naming me Arun, and incidentally, my surname is also Arora. So every time in the roll call, I'm the first one to be asked a question of. But now I feel honored. I'm the first one.
To be today also.
And first one to share my views. Thank you very much. And during my IMI days, I used to be young and I was enthused about, putting together my CV. And in my CV, I wrote, I like challenges. Typically we all write there, I like challenges, and God took me seriously. He says, okay, you want challenges? Here you go. So he put me into various organizations which, despite being the best brands in India today, lead to a lot of pollution. For instance, I worked with auto components, Escorts. Then I had a very long stint with Maruti Suzuki. This is the best brands we have, but again, cars pollute. Then I moved on to GMR, Delhi Airport, the infrastructure player. Then I moved on to Jindal Steel and Power, into steel and coal sector, again leading to a lot of pollution. Followed by cane oil and gas, another sector that I was talking of, and finally into Vedanta. Vedanta is into mining, big time into mining. They own Hindustan Zinc, Balco, and Sesa Sterlite, Sesa Goa, Sterlite Copper, whole lot of companies. So God said, okay, you like challenges, here you go. And in addition to working for companies which directly or indirectly contribute to employment and pollution, I was also made the company spokesperson to defend their deeds and misdeeds. So that is where the learning began. And coming back to sustainability, incidentally, I've also gotten into academics, and I take up business communication, managerial communications, sustainability, and ESG at certain institution. So I want to start with a very simple concept of sustainability for all of us to remember, because I get scared when we start by talking about United Nations Sustainability Development Goals aligning with our goals. So a lot of English goes into describing our ESG reports and all. Can we begin at home? India typically has that amazing culture of saving our resources. At home, your parents will hound you to switch off light when you leave room, don't waste water. So basic concept of saving natural resources so that they can be used by more people is sustainability, right? And even if you go by the definition, we simply talk about 3 P's of sustainability. What are the 3 P's of sustainability? People, profits, and planet, right? So now, how I like to define is, can we convert this profit word into prosperity, which is better because sometimes profit has some kind of negative connotation. If we convert profit into prosperity and extrapolate prosperity for everyone. So that is where the equity comes in. That is where the social comes in. Can we ensure prosperity for everyone around us? Can we make ourselves profitable in a way that everyone gains? It's a win-win for us, for communities. And on top of that, can we bring in one more element, one more P, that is perpetuity? Can we use our natural resources in a fashion that it lasts for perpetuity, not only for us, for future generation, for all of us? So that becomes the comprehensive sustainability. And in case all of us pledge today that we will contribute in some way to sustainability, then world can become a better place, right? So coming back to my company that currently I'm working with Chetak Group. Chetak Group is into logistics, and they had set up a digital logistics arm called Maven. Maven is a Uber equivalent of trucking. Like you hail car. Whenever you need a car, you just use an app. Similarly, when you need a truck for long haul goods movement, you can just use this app Maven. And this is totally paperless, digital, using AI algorithm for providing whatever you need with minimum usage of resources, saving on a lot of pollution. Now coming to this company, Chetak Logistics, or my previous organization, how do you tell me when to stop so that others can come in? So how do you convert a company like logistics company into an environmental friendly company? It's a huge challenge. We've taken upon ourselves to convert Chetak Logistics and Maven into a totally green logistics company, perhaps India's first green logistics company in 5 years' time. And currently we are working with Tata's and Ashok Leyland in developing electric trucks which do not exist in the current scenario. We are also converting all our warehouses so that they run on solar energy. We are also going to convert all our material handling equipment into either CNG or LPG or electric. And we are also ensuring that all our offices also run on solar energy. So we are and last mile connectivity vehicles we already converted to electric vehicles. So we're making all possible efforts into converting a transportation company, a logistics company into a green logistics company. So we'll come back later for once others also share the viewpoint. We had this arrangement that she'll give us a polite look to stop whenever next person has to speak.
Yeah. Thank you, Arun, for sharing your thoughts. And I think I just love these 4 P's that you just talked about. So we're talking here about people, planet, prosperity, and perpetuity. So wonderful. And I think what's remarkable here is that we're talking here about a company which is otherwise a very polluting company, right? Trucks. You see those trucks going on the road, polluting all the time with all the the air which is coming out, the gases which are being all over the place. So it's, and especially sitting in Delhi, you can actually sense the pollution all the way. But here you're talking about a green logistics company, where you're talking about how can you ensure that most of the vehicles are electric vehicles, and plus also it's very technology driven, right? Because most of the bookings, etc., for trucks, etc., it's all done online. And I also read that the number of people that you're employing are not very many, right? Yeah. So I think there's a lot of effort towards sustainability as a company, and I think those are the kind of practices that we are looking forward to hearing about. Our next speaker is Mr. Biswajit Majumdar. He's the Senior IT Delivery Leader and Sustainability Lead at TCS. Thank you, Biswajit, for being with us. So, Biswajit has spent almost 2 decades, actually more than 2 decades at TCS. And he's front-leading sustainability initiatives. And some of his projects involve retail clients in the US. And, as an IT consultant, it's extremely important for us to understand as to how IT can drive sustainability goals, because something which we are realizing now is that digital technology can really help us move towards sustainability goals faster, because the kind of innovation that can be part of those applications. And that is something which we would like to hear from Biswajit, and if he could, sort of educate us on that a little. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me. First of all, congratulations for whoever has worked at the back end. I have seen some of these videos which are extremely well presented. A lot of hard work has gone in. So, congratulations. I'm excited because first that we are now talking sustainability as a topic. I know that 20 years back it was more like, we may talk, may not talk, but nowadays every other initiatives have to be talking about something that we can continue to do. The thing that when I was studying, say, engineering and all that, we used to hear about these topics, not so much. But nowadays, almost, if you open today's newspaper, if you open tomorrow's newspaper, you will see certain 10% topic about on climate change, decarbonization, net zero. These jargons are becoming common. Almost all students know. Even then, my feeling is that we are not seeing a very drastic change onto the ground. This is still a problem. Even then, you will see that we are talking in various institutes, companies, but are we really taking that pain to make sure that we are really going that way. And why that way? That way is probably better, but we have not tested it well. Some of our, our earlier generations, including us, have seen better air, even better quality food. So, for example, with development, what would we expect? That, quality of life increases, right? And how do you define quality of life? This is my view, is that of course, your luxury goods and whatever energy usage increases, for example, air conditioner, good cars and all that is fine. But what are the basic things? Is the quality of those basic things, like the food that we eat, or the air that we breathe, or the water that we take today, are they continuously improving? If that is not improving, together we are not improving. So we need to probably also ensure that as we develop, India goes into, now we are, fifth largest economy, it will probably soon be third largest economy. So all of us should have a good quality life also. And for that, all of us have to work together. So it's like, one company or few other companies or some government policies will not do. So all of us who are into this job, we need to also think that the quality of life also means that whatever we are doing today is not harming the environment in which we are operating. So that if we all start thinking that way, I think we will find out some ways. Like, Mr. Arun Arora was saying, right, that things start at home. Things start as to how we behave. Now, coming to my question on what IT company, how IT company is currently or can influence the sustainability. So I have been working in TCS about 23 years, and Tata Group has always been quite conscious about where they are operating in, and it's part of the ethics. Every time we have been all through this my working life, I have seen Tata talking about how to contribute locally, how to contribute in a bigger way, and always remained ethical. So one of the reasons that I have been through with Tata is also because I joined out of my college into a company called Sterlite Copper. I think you talked about Sterlite Copper, which used to manufacture copper in a plant in Tuticorin. I was straight out of college, and I saw there was a lot of pollution in that locality, and lot of waste that was injected into the sea was actually causing a lot of uproar in the local fishing community, because they were not getting further fish. I mean, their quality of living was going down when the actually factory was in prosperous stage. So there was always some noise on the society, nearby society. We used to hear, and we were not even daring to talk that we are working in Sterlite Copper, because the people used to say that maybe they don't like these employees. But we were not so aware. I was coming straight out of college. We were thinking, we have got a good job. Now 20 years down the line, Sterlite Copper probably is closed. It's not operating there. Now just imagine, sustainability means not making profit of that day. It has to continue to make profit and with respect. See, now Sterlite Copper is closed and that factory has gone. I'm not taking a name as such, but I'm saying that there used to be some sort of issues during that time, which may or may not be true, but based on whatever we are seeing in the public domain, it is that fact. Now, my thought process on the IT side of things that we are seeing is IT companies, especially in TCS. TCS has started talking about sustainability as an offering to other customers, and TCS in itself is one company which has reduced its carbon emissions from 2016 to 2023 by 70%, while it has grown. So number of employees every year has grown by 30,000, 20,000 employees every year or more, but actual carbon emissions has come down. The reason for this is TCS has focused on infrastructure that actually is very conscious about consumption. So as an example, if in a particular AC room there are nobody, then the AC temperature will be adjusted or probably be switched off, and all these are automated and remotely managed through sensors and Internet of Things and all that. So TCS is also looking to offer such an offering to other companies. Similarly, so when it comes to IT, we are enabling various other companies across the globe with an infrastructure of sustainability data. I think there are many other speakers who will talk about this. So unless you know what sort of emissions your company is creating, and it is still a challenge to capture what sort of emissions your company is really emitting. It is easy to say, but it is not accurate, no accurate science yet to say that this company for its own operations, this much of carbon emissions are happening. So as you have been studying, there will be scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. So whatever is in your control, you can probably judge, like this much of diesel that I have consumed, this much of electricity that I have consumed, and then you will do an estimate that maybe because of this consumption I would have caused so and so amount of emissions. But when it comes to whoever is supplying you products or services, meaning scope 3, meaning your suppliers, there comes all the challenge, and there are platforms and IT products that are being developed so that this supply chain visibility and the data from supply chain can be captured. So this is one area where a lot of focus is on and a lot of work is going on. So academically you must be studying about this value chain sustainability and all that. So TCS is having its own offering. TCS is trying to position those offerings to various companies. I am working for retail America customers. We are trying to find out where we can help. So those are a few things, and in an initial thought I will also say that apart from company, we individually and as educated member of the society, we can think about ideas including any influences that we can have in our own home or beyond will be a big contribution to the sustainability in the future. And India will become a big, powerful country, not like the time that I was in an engineering college. Today India is very confident. India is very confident. Nowadays we stand together with all other countries. We proud. We used to think that now I am going to the UK. We used to always feel, maybe they don't talk about India so much. But now when we go to UK, US, we are actually seen in the equal light. So that's a big change, which you may or may not have been appreciating this simply because you have grown into a more confident country already. Okay, so for us, we saw a little bit of this change. So I am sure that when another 10 years down the line, we will be very proud, country. And if we all work together the way we are currently doing. So we can come back to it with any questions. If you can have later on, we can discuss. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Viswajit. Very well said. Because you can control your own operations, but how do you ensure that your supply chain is also adhering to sustainability? And that's a very big challenge. And I think right from sourcing to your operations to finally ensuring that your customers are also using your products and services in a sustainable way, and then looking at recycling of all the resources, it's a complete circle, right? And therefore every company has to be very responsible, but more than that, I think we as individuals have to be more responsible. I think that was the nutshell what Biswajit was trying to say, that companies are doing what they're doing, but as individuals, what are we doing is something we need to introspect and understand. And we do about all this branding, etc. So if, let's say, India becomes a $3 trillion economy by 2030, but we also brand ourselves that we are the world leaders in sustainability, I think that would be something as demonstrating the leadership. So that is something, it's a humongous, it's a very daunting task, but I think we should aim for that. So thank you, Biswajit. Our next speaker now is Mr. Rahul Prasad. Thank you, Rahul, for being here with us. And Rahul is Head of Skill and Entrepreneurship Development Institute, Ambuja Foundation. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with Ambuja Cement Company. He has more than 14 years of experience in rural empowerment and has been focusing on livelihood creations for marginalized youth. And that is something I think we all need to understand, that most of India still is in rural areas, and if we are talking about demographic dividend, then that's where it is. So I think what he's doing is an extremely important task of trying to create sustainable livelihoods. So please tell us a little more and educate us on what exactly you're doing now. Thank you.
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me over here. And you were talking about being responsible, the path of being responsible. I think one of the evidence of us being responsible is that you all are listening so patiently and eagerly, and you have that eagerness on your face. When I go back to my college days, or maybe 10 years, 12 years back, that time a lot of community-centric work or community-centric social work was very common. People never used to talk about sustainability. I remember in my college there used to be a club called Planet Club. It's a true story, and people were never a part of it. Those who wanted to bunk classes were a part of it. But today when I see people actually speaking more about such topics, about sustainability, about ESG investments, I feel very happy of being a part of this generation in any way possible. So first of all, thank you for inviting me over here. Thank you for organizing this particular program out here. Now I'll speak about it in two parts. One little about my journey, or my journey from my perspective, maybe society from my perspective, and also I'll continue about Ambuja Cements, what we do as an Ambuja Foundation, right? So I started working into community-centric approach in the year 2010 itself, and I basically went to Bangalore, and my passion was towards social work, and I realized one fact that आप जबरदस्ती किसी को नहीं पढ़ा सकते हैं. That is true, and a lot of us, a lot of my colleagues today, a lot of my friends of that time, there were a lot of people who were forced in engineering, forced in medical. I was one of those people who actually got multiple yearbacks in my engineering college, but I never wasted my time. I was always going to an orphanage to teach children. I was always going to I would rather just quit staying in hostel and try to stay in villages to understand what they do, because I was so passionate towards it. That was an unknown that I wanted to find, and I think I'm still figuring out. So by 2013, I believe I had already got 2 yearbacks in my engineering college. My father was a bureaucrat. He's retired now, and he had expectation of me doing engineering. But at the same time, I had published a book, and I had around 10,000 fellow volunteers working along with me. I already got awarded twice that time. So I was growing somewhere else. But coming back to this topic, I believe that one of the learnings that I have seen over the years is that from my transition from 2010 and especially before 2020, that time, people were very much curious about climate change. People were very much curious about sustainability, but they did not know what to do, right? A lot of times people, see, CSR you need to understand. I come from a CSR background, a hardcore CSR background, and I would advocate this when I say this, that people have, CSR has changed by itself. Earlier CSR used to be companies doing social work through HRs. Gradually what happened was that companies started doing community-centric programs within themselves, and then they have some 70% of their HR workforce working in CSR committees, and the rest for 30% they'll have implementation partners outside. Now what has happened is that companies have their own foundation, right? Like Kalong Foundation, or like Chetak Foundation, Ambuja Foundation, TCS has its own foundation, Tata Steel Foundation. Every organization has its own foundation. They start hiring social practitioners out there. So as the perspective and as the need of society is getting clearer day by day, the resources to be used to basically impact society in a better way are being nurtured and are being structured in and formulated in a better way, right? So, and everybody has its own need. It helps in marketing as well. If you see anybody uses Mama Earth products, if they would have seen advertisements, उनके आखिरी में एक आता है sentence की हम डारा कुछ करते हैं और नीचे हम पेड़ भी लगाते हैं. Why would they say this? Because they know that people are so busy earning money, people are so busy in their own daily routine, they would want to do social work, and they'll end up doing social work by buying this particular project. Right? It helps in marketing. It helps through BRSR BRSR reports by SEBI. It helps in your ESG rating. So company understands, donor understand, ATG donors understand that this is a need, right? So I believe that when it comes to my perspective or how I have seen this whole community centric or how I have seen social work going under transition, it has gone into a much more structured way now. It has gone into a much more focused way now. People are not going after rural development, or even if they want to do rural development, they know what exactly is the problem that they would want to solve. They know the problem, they know the solution, and they would want just to have pieces to fill in. And companies would have 70% of the problem solving within themselves. For that 30%, they would have focused implementation partners. That much they talk that much money, they talk that much implementation, and they'll get their work done. This is from my perspective how I've seen things changing. Now coming to Ambuja, when you again, Ambuja is quite famous. It has been one of the oldest cement manufacturing company, now a part of Adani Group. But our founder Saxeria sir, back in '93, he realized one fact, that what all we are using to make cement, we should work on those domains. For an example, cement banane ke liye we require water, cement banane ke liye we require people. At the same time, cement is lethal. It damages health. At the same time, there is an agricultural land, there is an environment that is at stake. So all these things, see, cement does not, the making of cement also involves one cost. This is the social cost that we are talking about, the damage to the social capital that we are talking about. And that is where in 1993 we started venturing out towards making net zero into these different domains. If we are damaging health, we started our health programs into the communities where our cement plants were there. If we are damaging water, if you're using a lot of water, I would very proudly I would say that today we are nine times water positive. In our processes we save water, in our through rainwater harvesting, through making canals, we are 9 times water positive today. At the same time, if you are using people, we have around more than 40 skilling centers, around 1 lakh youth are graduating every year from our skilling centers across India. So these are the problems that we identified as a cement manufacturing company, and then registered our own Section 8 organization in 1993 and started venturing out into solving these problems. Ambuja Cements Limited is just one of the donors for us. We have around 112 more donors. Different companies, CSR, would want to work with credible implementation organizations, and we are one of the large-scale implementation organizations pan-India. So this is what we have been doing, and I think again, congratulations to you all for eagerly listening, for being a part of this change, and I would wait for more questions or the second round of questions coming from ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. Very educative. I think it's wonderful that he highlighted the fact that it's a lot more structured now. Whatever social initiatives or whatever environmental initiatives the companies are taking currently, it's a lot more. It's not like an also thing. It's something which is done by design, very deliberately, having understood what the needs are, how this whole thing has to be rolled out, what is the real impact. So if the money is going into CSR or if money is going into any sustainability initiative, company is extremely careful. It's like doing your business, right? That means for every penny invested in the business, you want to see the returns. The returns here is the impact. So this is something which is really now dawning on every company, and the corporate are realizing that this is hard earned money by the company, and if it has to be spent on social initiatives, on CSR, the impact has to be visible. So thanks for highlighting, and that's exactly why we have 4 people heading different foundations here. And every other company has created foundations because it's not an also thing. It's something which is by strategy there, and foundations are actually hiring or employing people who are skilled and specialized to implement these programs, right? It's not just that you ask somebody from operations or HR or finance that, just go and do this program. No, they're people who understand how it has to be done, and that's how it's implemented. And also, these cement is a sensitive sector from sustainability point of view. So companies like Ambuja Cement would have to be lot more conscious than many other companies who probably don't have so much of impact. So if a company like Ambuja Cement is 9 times water positive, means there's a tremendous amount of effort which has gone behind to ensure that in the entire value chain, you're not only reducing the usage of water, but you're also ensuring that how do you reharvest water. And that's like commendable for a company to become 9 times positive. Thank you for letting us know that. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Utpal Nath. Thank you so much for coming. He's chairperson and chief impact officer for Kolong Foundation, has more than 25 years of management consulting experience, and he has been leading multiple initiatives that have been part of integrating technology for community upliftment. So we have someone who has really worked a lot in the area of community upliftment. And let me say that he is also accompanied by 2 of his colleagues here. If you could just introduce both of them.
She's Dr. Barnali Hazarika. She's also the vice chairperson for our foundation. And Chinmay Talukdar, she is the director of education for Assam government for schools, the primary schools, the grassroots level. So I will get back to that point.
So they have traveled all the way from Guwahati to be here with us and taken out time. So thank you so much for making all these efforts. And what I'm really curious to know is how Mr. Utpal Nath is really working, because he has very ambitious dreams about how he wants to run Kolong Foundation, and they've been doing a lot of work, and a lot of it is technology based. That means they're using technology intensively to make this change in community development. So please educate us on how these initiatives are being pursued. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Still good morning. Many years ago, like as Arun said, like not 500 years ago, I was one of you like that, sitting there. Those days, Rahul has rightfully said that we had dramatic club, we have like a planet club, that sort of clubs. So it is very passionate and it's very touching for me to see this transition now, that these future leaders, yourself, are sitting here passionately and listening to a very rightfully and thoughtfully picked up topic. Okay, and this is what important. And today, me, like coming back from you being a future leaders, why it is important and why it is significant is that tomorrow when you step to the real world, your livelihood or your career or your passion, your profession, this is where a core junction would be, the sustainability. Sustainability not as just a word or like jargons to be thrown off, which nowadays is very evident. Some of my colleagues have already highlighted that. But it means a really resilient topic. Sustainability, resiliency, perpetuality, this all encompass in our lives. Sustainability started from, as Arun said, like, early days when mom used to say that, light ban kar do, pani mat use karo, ghar ke pe. But that's the start of sustainability. But today's, due to our mankind or development, what has gone to bring us to this level, has caused certain mismatch in that whole ecosystem. So we are consciously now sitting back and here taking a conscious steps together, calculative steps to forward, and getting understanding, like, what is the impact of that. I have spent sustainable good amount, like, of years, 30 years outside India, and just recently back, working in Europe, Middle East, North Africa, and I was not like what Rahul said, like, I was not wasting time and I'm doing stuff. I was selfishly working for my own gain, corporate work, like all of you aspire to be. Many of you aspire to be. But something had changed me during my last stint. I was working with Aramco, one of the world largest fossil fuel producer, and which is the big cause now. And I was amazed to see that level of thought process going, because they are the largest, like, largest company, largest corporate, largest everything, like, there. And their thought process on sustainability was very, very humongously big and deep rooted. So although they do not do the greenwashing too much, okay, and nowadays, but they were doing a lot of projects, a lot of initiative for community development, impacts, causing impacts, not only just to planting trees or making real sustainable economy, like circular economy, decentralized economy, that sort of thing. This has caused me to think back, and here I am with my colleagues, with my partners here. We formed a foundation, and we decided, since my native place was Assam, and that's logistically for me to work good, and we have some network. So we started working independently a foundation without having a synchronization or association with any of the corporate world to do some meaningful work or a step forward. So today's topic, there are three components: sustainable governance, green energy transition, and community impact. As you see, as you understand that, $7 trillion goal by 2030 looks good, it sounds good, but where we are, what is exactly it is? India is 5th largest economy in the world. The largest economy is $28 trillion, United States. Next largest economy is China, $18 trillion, China. Then we have two real competitive, and that's why we are heading for building the third one, is 4.2 or 4.3 if I'm not, Germany, and Japan we are just close. We are 4.1 today, and they must be like 4.7 or 4.8 or like this. That's all. So what is the gap? Like, why we are moving forward? 5 to 10 years back, our growth rate was around 4 to 6%, like, GDP. We're growing. Infrastructure development is the core of it. The people part of it has come recently changed, like, the way we started looking at when we started doing sustainable development, the 3 Ps, and then the governance perspective, the 4th or 5th P has been put together, because this is very, very important, and this is where the growth would be. Now if you see, by the rate what we are at the GDP, by 2027 will be around 5.7 trillion, which is like close to our 7 trillion goal, like in 3 years we'll be achieving. So why would be this is possible? There are a lot of thought processes gone behind. There are a lot of deep think tank has gone behind, and this is one of the results where we are sitting together. That whole mindset has been captivating from the grassroots level, and that's where it's working on it. So the governance perspective is nothing but the policies. The policies has to be implemented. The policies is the framework, core framework of it. The decentralization, making the people, like, when I see the video today, like, the for the people, the for people part of it has been put, and that's where the sustainable governance part is there. All others are jargons. It's moving around like, thing. So that's why we need real policies to incentivize sustainable practices, whether the corporates, the people, us, community, and to a grassroots level, to our next generation children's. Green energy transition must. We are, I think, second largest consumer of energy in the world, India. And 80% of our dependency of is on fossil fuel, petrol or diesel. Okay. From there, transitioning to a clean energy is a humongous task. But we are making steps. Our capacity probably in 2025 or 2027, the capacity we require is 500 gigawatts of clean energy. And 2013, we were around 175 gigawatts capacity we could produce. But those are majorly from, like, the policies which came up from solar, hydro, water, and a little bit of wind. But there is also a transitioning factor. Now we are making it from solar, water, hydrogen, when water become like hydrogen now, and biomass. India has a huge land. Okay, we have sunshine, we have seasons of rain. So how can you utilize that natural thing, natural gift to India, and make it a clean energy? This is also very much important kind of thing, the biomass part of it. You must have heard that hydrogen energy, the biomass and part. So those policies have been formed, and for the clean energy part, if you see that this year budget, 2024 budget, government has increased 25% on clean energy aspect of it. So there is an incentivization coming up like in there. And the third pillar is the community impact. So who will gonna take it? Governments can make those policies, those programs, okay, Atmanirbhar program, like Swachh India program, like Swachh Bharat, NRLM, like those self-help group, So these are all aligning towards one goal. But the people at the core is what we require. Mummy ka light band karna, pani kam kharch karna, that is the mindset we need to create at the grassroots level. And that is where at the Kolong Foundation, we work on the primary education, primarily children. So what we're doing and creating in Assam is we had a land, okay, around the thing. I'll just give you the practicality of it. And Assam is a peripheral area. It's like, there are rice grown and part of it. And around the land, I realized that, there are villages which are still like predominantly they have been working or the community of the villages working one scale, like, go to the paddy field, make the rice, crop, sell, go, and so development factor has not touched them to that level. That's one point. Second, we are talking about on the other side, we are talking about sustainability. We are talking about the big humongous growth of net zero, but where they would be, this is like they are totally disaligned from regional perspective. This is where practicality is happening. So we try to create a synergy between. We are not here to say we're doing a great job and part of thing. We're trying to impact a portion of villages, portion of rural areas, where we are showcasing them in a small scales that this is possible. How this is possible without you hampering your nature. That's it, simple. Without hampering or without creating a new process on what you do today, you can still be developmental front. How we do it? We added certain technology to it, decentralized principles of decentralized economy. We created a platform from digital enablement for them, okay, giving them. There are today morning when you are discussing about it, our colleagues was mentioning that I don't know, she's not here. She's saying that the government is giving entrepreneurship development. So there are funds, grants given to them. Her maid got a Silai machine to start working on it, whatever. But what about the market? What about the product who goes to the market? And we sitting in the management institute, we know this. This is where the core priority is, right? Producing the good, finding from the demand is one part of it. But getting the right market, and getting to the right demand and the right customer, right consumer base is where the challenge is there. So this water is costing me production-wise like 5 rupees. But when I reach to my pocket and I buy, I'll be probably buying it at 200 rupees. That other thing is coming from those part of it. That is what the more challenge is. So not just giving them fund or entrepreneurship development just to take the fund and go. We have to enable them to find the right access to the market, give them the other digital enablement of it. It should be online, offline, and then make it circular. Okay. So this is what we are working on it at the moment. And second part is awareness and education. So we are not educating. We also partnered with Assam Skill Universities for the skill development program kind of thing wherever our programs are going on. But our main focus is on the primary level. So we take this village level schools, MCTs kind of schools, to come and learn in our things, simple stuff. Why recycling? What is green, blue, red? How this will be there? What is required for them to understand rainwater harvesting? So this is a term. I mean, have many of you? I mean, put up a hand. Like, have you really seen a rainwater harvesting system? Have you seen? Show me a hand who has seen. See, and all of us must have heard about rainwater harvesting, right? We haven't seen it yet. So how do you think like we will be doing it? So we just wanted to show them, fill them, and that is where the core part of it. That's my belief. And the third part, where we are working on is, and our pillar is cultural, social part of it. There is a culture to every religion, every region, every society, every strata of it, whether us, India, or anywhere in the world. There's a cultural line moving on, and that binds people together. Okay, so this is what we have taken it. So the culture has to be there, the society, social aspect has to be there. So in our programs, you will always see there is a bonding and programs on cultural part of it, whether it is simple musical, simple like people coming from bhajans, or simple coming for just like sitting chopal kind of a thing. But that's where we understand like areas, and then we give them those part. We try to bond them, or sports, let them play. Okay, let them come together. So that work and that awareness core is work. So as a foundation, this is our impact, and we as a technologist, I don't want to bore you because this is very simple thing to have. We have tools, we have ESG that ma'am has said, like frameworks to measure that. So it's very important for us to measure the impact. That's my takeaway. Like whatever you do, probably like मम्मी ने जब बोला था कि लाइट बंद करो, अभी उस समय मेजर क्या होता कि हमने अभी तक वो लाइट बंद करते करते कितना इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बचाया और कितने पैसे पापा के उसमें बचाए थे. तो आज बोलते कि नहीं पापा मैंने तो आपके इतने पैसे बचाए बिकॉज मैंने लाइट जल्दी से बंद किए थे. इट्स लाइक ऐसे, बट हमने नहीं किया. सो वी डोंट नो येट. ओके, तो हमने कितना इम्पैक्ट किया है. So right, अभी जो हम like when we have reached to this level, this is very important for us, and I must congratulate all of you for being here, passionately listening to all of us. And this is a very important topic. And tomorrow, when we be leaders and going out to the real world, this must be your first initiative and first objective. Take it as a personally, and wherever the professional work could be there, put it in your heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much for telling us as to what Kolong Foundation is doing. I think there's an immense amount of effort if you're talking about making livelihood sustainable. Because when you go into those rural areas and you try and understand as to what those families have been doing traditionally, and those very livelihoods, if they can be made sustainable, means a lot of institutions, the institutional gaps have to be filled. Like for instance, access to the market, access to finance. How do you provide them, design competence? How do you make them literate on, digital technology, which can really help them have much higher productivity, much higher access, etc. So there's a lot of stuff which can be done by educating, but I think it cannot be done by sitting in AC environment. You have to be there with them. That means you have to be there, immersed at the grassroots level to understand the pain points and then work on your business models. So that's where the education is coming, that whatever we are learning as part of our management education should be applied where it's needed. Correct? And therefore, that's exactly why this discussion is important today, that we can't do all this sitting remotely in one corner and trying to understand their pain points. You have to be in the field to understand what can be done and then see as to how enterprises can be created. And I'm sure there is a huge amount of opportunity there. So thank you so much, Mr. Utpalnath, for educating us on this. So I think we're almost nearing the end of our panel time that has been given. But before we complete this panel discussion today, I'll request all our panel members, starting from Arun, to sum up in one or two sentences as to what is their vision on sustainability for India for 2030, as to what should be the key milestones that we should be able to achieve from 2024 to 2030. So if each one of you could take this one by one and just wrap it up in 1 or 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I just listed down a couple of examples. If you allow me, I would like to share some real life examples, especially touching upon the governance and community impact before answering your specific question. Governance is simply being honest, being straightforward, being transparent, and some progressive corporate companies are these days coming out with their transparency report, and some of the European importers are insisting on certain corporate governance practices to be followed for Indian companies to be able to export there. I'll give a very small example on how we can convert an adversity into an opportunity. I was working in Maruti Suzuki, and we discovered that in the car produced during a certain period, there was some small component of steering assembly that was faulty. And these cars were manufactured and sold over a period of 3 to 4 days. And this number was about 3 to 400. So there was a temptation, like most of the companies, to hide it. Arey big gaya, jab aayega repair ke liye, to we can see that. But management took a conscious call that we will go public, and this had never happened in India. It was a common practice in perhaps US and Europe. We announced it upfront that cars manufactured between this and this date, there is a slight chance of this, and we are recalling 1 lakh vehicles which could have been sold during that period. Can you believe this enhanced our reputation? This did not damage our reputation, it enhanced our reputation, it enhanced our sales also. It's a very typical example of being a good corporate governance practice, converting adversity into opportunity. And I'll share a couple of examples on community impact. We're working with the sector. I was working with Maruti again, and how we Delhiites are, how our traffic sense is. So one of the worst traffic sense that we boast of or we are ashamed of. So we created a very interesting communication for school students. We created very interesting communication for school students. We taught them to tell their parents to follow traffic rules. And we created very interesting comics, we created films, and we took them to simulators where we showed them how the traffic works. And every time they travel with their parents next time around, they insist that you wear a helmet or you wear a seat belt or you stop at the red light. That was something that was very simple concept, and it really worked. I don't know whether it had some impact, but we certainly made that effort. Couple of other examples. We did a need assessment. We identified truck drivers as prime beneficiaries for Chetak Foundation, and we did a need assessment to discover shocking fact that 63% of the truck drivers plying trucks on the road, not only our truck drivers across India, they do not have eyesight good enough to drive on the roads. Can you believe that? They are such a huge danger to society because it's unsafe for them and it is unsafe for the number of people that come across. So we quickly worked on an intervention where we started checking eyesights of those truck drivers, and we are providing free spectacles, and we propose to do it for 5 million truck drivers over the next 5 years. That is what we are collaborating with other partners and working upon it. Second was the promoters of this organization belong to a very small village, Ginger in Haryana. We noticed that elderly people there, senior citizens, they do not even know they have poor eyesight. They do not even know the world can look better. We simply conducted a eye checkup camp covering 50,000 such senior citizens, and most of them had positive eyesight, and we provided them with spectacles, and they were surprised to see that there is so much better to look at. They did not even realize, they were not even realizing it. So we have to work on various impacts. Now coming to your question about this, let me be a little disruptive. We give too much importance to GDP numbers and how we are ranking up against other players. Can you believe that our GDP is very close to what Nvidia's market cap is or Apple's market cap is? A company like Apple or Nvidia's market cap is close to our GDP. Okay, so I personally feel that in case we focus on manufacturing, we focus on creating employment, and we focus on creating entrepreneurs who can create employments. For instance, many of you may be seeking jobs, but many of you also will be seeking to be entrepreneurs who can create jobs. In case we do that, GDP is a byproduct of whatever is happening in the manufacturing space, supply chain space, marketing space, selling space, service space, because we are very strong in these areas. So GDP will be a positive outcome of that. So in case of just focusing on, okay, now we are third, now we are fifth, now we'll be third, can we focus on generating employment? Can we focus on ourselves generating employment? For instance, I'll give you a small example. At Chetak Logistics, it was promoted by one gentleman called Jagdish, Mr. Jaikarun Sharma. He belonged to Ginger, a small village in Haryana, and he dropped out of school at 9th or 10th standard. I just published a biography. He was, Government of India issued a postal stamp to honor him. He went on to set up one of the largest logistics company in India by sheer hard work and passion. Something amazing about him, he encouraged hundreds of his drivers to become independent transporters. He will help them buy trucks. He was encouraging his own drivers to go set up their own transport companies. So that kind of understanding of spreading that happiness is what brings about that change. And sustainability is something that is a core management function. CSR, ESG, sustainability is a core management function that can be a profit center. It need not be considered as a liability or a cost center. It's a profit center. If we are sustainable in our operation, we will be more efficient, and therefore it will lead to greater bottom line. So let's think about that. Sustainability is a strategic management function and is part of the process, not an add-on or side function. Thank you.
Yeah, we learned a lot through interactions. My take will be like this, that as we are educated, we have an opportunity to learn. In India, traditionally, the biggest strength that India had is probably India was a sustainable society. We were always conscious of natural resources. Even the fact that our religious orientation of general public and our spirituality also respects nature. That means it is not going to go away easily. The development will not completely take away our sustainability mindset. It is already there. So that is one positivity. Now we being educated, we should not distance ourselves from whatever good we had. So if we had something good in our culture, which is respecting the natural resources, then I think we should carry on with that. At the same time, having an education, especially in an institute like this, is a privilege, right? I mean, we should feel more powerful than what we normally feel. We should feel that, I individually, I know, I'm sure many of you even can transform your own locality and society by, providing leadership. Nowadays, every educated member of our society, we should think that, society is demanding leadership out of us. So if you see any opportunity to contribute in a society, creating an organization, creating an initiative, creating a company for something that can influence our society, then that is what we should do. And I agree that we should not see sustainability as a side function. It is part of the function. You will exist, we will exist only if we are behaving in a sustainable manner. And so whatever we do, it should be part of the core function and it will create better profit. That is true, and that is the reason nowadays it's not only the regulatory compliance, but the realization that it is going to create value, not necessarily next quarter, but over a period of time, is what is taking companies towards sustainability. And that belief should come in within ourselves, and sustainability will sustain us in that way. Thank you.
So I will stick with the S part of ESG. So just to answer your question, ma'am, one interview I was watching of Tim Cook, where he was asked that why do you depend on China for all your spare parts of your mobile phones? Do you depend on China because they are cheap? So he answered that no, they are skilled. So to get chosen, you need to be skilled. Cheap or expensive does not matter. So I will stick with the skilling part of it. If we are going ahead with a 7 trillion economic vision by 2030, I think skilling is important because in today's generation or in today's world, job is not an issue. I would, again, people would say that unemployment is an issue in India. I do not second by that thought. I believe that unemployment is not an issue. Employment is there, job is there. But people getting job of their pasand ka, people getting job of their passion, that is an issue. So I believe that skilling is a major issue, major gap that we need to fill in. And along with skilling, I believe gender inclusivity is very important. If you see, there are villages, there are communities, there are hamlets where the man would be working 9 to 5 or maybe 9 to 9 in a very unorganized sector, and he's reluctant. He's reluctant to change, he's reluctant to get more certified or skilled. He's happy with that daily wage of 200, 300 rupees. But there is a woman who would want to work. And if we empower that woman, I think with gender inclusivity, I think we'll be able to achieve that goal of equal employment, more money flowing in, more money coming in, more people getting employment, more entrepreneurs being developed, more people getting skilled. And then we are already in the pathway that you guys are listening, we guys are talking about it, and we'll reach there where we would want to reach. So this is my 2 takes on this.
Without doubt, India need to develop on development part of it, infrastructure development, whether it's manufacturing, the service part of it, the people part of it, the entrepreneurs. We need young minds, skills towards this goal. But all this is required money, the investment. Okay, the investment has to flow in. We do not have substantial investment or capital now within the country. Okay, so there are some policies from the government that or from the think tanks to incite those investment. I'll just give you figures for just clean energy or some smart grids to be developed in next 2 to 5 years, we would require yearly $225 billion in a year annual. And what the FDI has come is only 17 billion or 18 billion. So there's a huge gap. Okay, so the decentralized part of it, creating the decentralized economy, taking the people into consideration, and we are in a very positive state. India is 50% of India is youth is ready. So we have a huge, 50% of our population is youth. That's one of the strengths. We have a humongous to be addressed demographic for middle class, as we say. There is a sustainable, we can make a circular economy sort of thing, and this could be possible from DeFi to get the decentralized finance, decentralized economy, working towards it. One of those part which government has worked and very successful is the financial inclusivity. Okay, gender inclusivity is very important, but financial inclusivity, and this is what you see the UPI program now. Okay, human capital, Aadhaar, and network, and this tree has created so all these marginalized people to come to the financial system. And once we have the financial system coming in and those infrastructure to build, this is where we could understand the investment could come in. So this is a thought process to be bringing into our life, our day-to-day life, I would say. And it's a awakening call. We need to fill it up so that we can make this leap together. But it's possible. The $7 trillion goal, and because there is a goal to it, and we need to have some plans to achieve that. So we could do that, and we are making good progress on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your views, and everybody has been fantastic, telling us there's so much of diversity. This is something which I feel that the whole aspect of sustainability is so complex and so spread out that to connect all the pieces it gets very difficult sometimes, because it's extremely complex and there is so much of interconnection at all levels. So every time we talk about sustainability, it always boils down to collective responsibility because everybody seems to be responsible. But I think I was just told by our anchors that we have little time for one or two questions. So if you have a couple of questions, please feel free to ask, and you can always address it to a specific panel member if that's what you desire. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to thank all the panel members for their valuable insights. So my question was for Mr. Bilji. Sir, if you can just shed some more insights about how TCS in itself is integrating sustainable goal into its IT global projects.
Yeah, so first of all, I mean, TCS has, you can look at TCS as two sides. One, that TCS in itself looking inside to make itself sustainable, which means they their own operations, their own behavior should also be transformed so that we as a company also become sustainable. So in that goal, our goal is to become net zero by 2030, and in that we are making significant progress simply because of investments made in the infrastructure part of the things. So energy consumption has been coming down even with our growth, and then TCS is investing in the renewable energy. So 55% of the energy that TCS consumes across the globe for its own operations is out of renewable energy. Now renewable energy makes the emissions as more or less zero, right? So that is the goal in next 5-6 years. So this is TCS as an organization, but then TCS is a service provider. Now TCS has got 2,000, 3,000 customers for whom TCS is going proactively and saying, we can help you make more sustainable, and through use of IT offerings. But we also work with wider Tata Group's capability so that we can offer. For example, the emissions, we can do a direct capture at source, carbon capture at source. And so that technology that we are talking about, TCS as an IT company can employ its IoT technology to gather to reduce the emissions from its logistical companies or even from other manufacturing companies. So TCS is having a lot of offerings, which includes consulting and also IT products, systems, etc., to help all companies go green. And any company has got its own IT infrastructure, right? Like they are having cloud, or they are having data center, or they are having workplace, laptops and all that. You can ensure that their settings are such that, for example, I'm just giving a small, simplest example. You can do a settings so that you can reduce your power consumption if you are away from your screen for 2 minutes and things like that. So infrastructure is where TCS can do a sustainable IT for itself and for all companies, not only TCS, many other IT companies, and everybody is moving towards this. So both sides, one is inside and one is for the customers.
So good afternoon to all the panel members. My question is specifically for Utpal sir. So sir, you talked at great lengths about the social impacts that Kolong Foundation is trying to make. But we don't want them to be short term, we want them to be long term, which is basically sustainability. So how do we ensure that all the social impacts that we are making are sustainable in nature so that future generations can also reap benefits out of it?
That goes back to your programs, what you are doing it. For example, regenerative agriculture. Okay, when we are talking about our part of the world, is we teach them, we practice with our community on regenerative agriculture, sustainable, where the soil quality could be retained, the organic cultivation, organic way of crops, which could have twofold of benefit, okay, from perpetuality perspective for the next generation, and secondly also from the value perspective, today's the prosperity, the profit turn to a prosperity. That's what I keep saying it. So the prosperity perspective is because there is a demand, there is a market access to it. So this is a circular. So basically, how it works is the when you give the programs, I'm just giving an example on this, like, that's that example from the regenerative. So if you'll see from the rainwater harvesting or the water conservation programs, okay, the clean, the green energy itself, so you go every step, this is all are circular, all are renewable, all sustainable, and it's been programmed and planned this way that, it sustain the next generation demand. But the main core here is the circular part of it. How circular it would be, like, the renewables or recycling part of it, that circular, the simple recycle of products. This is what is very important. So Mother Earth is giving us today a produce. We are privileged to have it. How can you, without hampering, without changing, we can reutilize it for the next generation, whether it is the soil, water, air, or for whatever we're doing about it. So that's where I believe is how we can give it to the next generation. Thank you.
Hello everyone from the panel. I have a question to the entire panel. That is, the panel discussed about importance of skill and education and how it will help in improving sustainability. So in my background, in my engineering college, we focused on innovation. We tried to create some projects using cloud and disruptors like cloud and AI. But what I observed was that there was sustainability or CSR missing from it. So we did not knew about it. Right now we are studying what all impact it has, how can it benefit the organization as well as the society itself. So which metrics should we inculcate now into the innovations or the project at undergrad level as well, so that now the new generation of innovators can think about technology aspects such as AI as well as CSR aspects and combine them together to create useful solutions for the society.
So it's a very interesting question. You mixed couple of things together, out of which one thing is there that I don't understand, that is AI. But still I'll try to answer it from a social perspective, social lens, okay. What's your name?
Kunal.
Kunal. So Kunal, dekhiye, one thing is there that when you go back to your time when you were in undergrad and when you were experimenting, there were a lot of innovations coming up, but there was the element of sustainability and CSR missing, right? A lot of times this happens, why? Because when it is a short-term project or a short-term innovation, especially when you are in college, you would not want to earn money out of that innovation what you're practicing. I'm talking very practical. I've been a part as a student as well in my life. And I would say that today when it comes to a place where skilling or innovation is the only way around where you have to earn money out of it, people would actually go about and try to figure out places where they can get that skill set from, places there where they can get that EDP wala skill set from, so that when you are innovating, you're also trying to venture out and create a business model around it, so that it is a sellable model, it is a model that can give you profit. Kam se kam aap अच्छे innovator के साथ भूखे नहीं जाओगे. That element of that maturity is started instilling in people today. When it comes to CSR would definitely stay very much away from any venture that is yielding money out of it, right?
Yes.
Especially when it comes from when we're talking about your particular undergrad. When it comes to CSR perspective, it's very important that whatever innovation is coming up, either it is impacting the community or it is empowering the community, right? And for that, today there are centers. There is a support. There is a research and development area itself. As a matter of fact, my past company was same company, and in TCS as well, there is one DISC. DISC is a very beautiful area where in TCS they actually encourage innovations. They actually encourage people who would want to innovate something, try to make a business model out of it, and most of it is powered by CSR, right? So I believe that today, when it comes to innovation, again, I'm not touching base with AI. I'm talking about general innovations. When it comes to innovations, there is a support system. There are CSR functionaries who would actually invest in R&D out of it, provided that that product should impact community, should impact a sustainable development, a sustainable change in any community practice. Let it be the beneficiary who is making that innovation, his family or his community, or that innovation impacting going as a product to a further community or a further family. I believe that today is a support system that is there. Talking about AI again, when it comes to skilling, so today with SEDI, like Skilling and Entrepreneurship Development Institutes that we run across India, till date we were working on grey collar jobs. Grey collar jobs are the jobs that would not require something like graduate or BTech or BSc, like a bachelor degree. Somebody who's the 11th dropout or 12th dropout can apply for these courses and get jobs. But today we have started venturing out toward future skills, toward artificial intelligence, machine learning. But who is our target audience? Our target audience are people who are graduates, who are BTech graduates, who are MCA graduates, but not as privileged as you with that infrastructure or that ecosystem when you were an undergraduate. So that is one of the another areas where CSR is trying to venture out and impact people who would want to grow in the technical background. So this, I think, this would sum it up.
Yeah. Yeah, Rahul, very well articulated. I'll just add one more perspective. There was a time, especially in the manufacturing sector, when quality used to follow the production process. And later, people realized that quality has to be built into the production process. So each stage of production, a person is responsible for quality. Similar analogy goes for sustainability also. Whether it is HR or innovation or R&D, sustainability has to be built in as part of the standard operating process for all functions. If that is done, then this question will not arise. For instance, when you're innovating or when you're going for R&D or whether you're going for production, sales, HR, finance. So in case sustainability element, which includes ESG, the entire thing, environment, social governance, if it is built in, then this question will not arise.
Thank you.
So my question to the panel is, when we talk about ESG, ESG comes at a cost. When we talk about ethical sourcing of resources, ethical sourcing of labor, clean sources of water, it comes at a cost, and this cost has to be borne by the society. It is a community cost. So when the community has to bear this cost, a lot of people may back out because it's not easy to get money, to get money out of people. So it comes as a roadblock, because unless a lot of people take it up, the ESG movement would not be successful. So what are the ways we can incentivize or get more people to onboard on this without money becoming a roadblock, or cost becoming a roadblock?
Yeah, let me attempt. Can I? Yeah, this is amazing, because first of all, can all of us, the entire universe, whether it is Government of India or the manufacturing, corporates, NGOs and students, can we replace the word cost with investment? Can we see this as investment? And there's amazing reputational return on investment if you do something good. You'll be surprised to know, somebody gave amazing example that at the Mother Earth, Mama Earth, they have this tagline, amazing example. So there's a reputational return on investment in case you're doing something right. So let's assume that is an investment, don't consider that as an additional cost. And if everybody does it, then customer will come to accept that additional cost. That will not be seen as a cost, it will be part of the built-in production cost.
Thank you.
Is there any other question? Okay, this would be the last question, because I think we have to wrap this up. Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Hello everyone. So as we're talking so much about sustainability, and as Mr. Utpal rightly said, about 80% of the power generation is from fossil fuels. But as we look at the other side, the renewable sources, like the solar panels and the windmills, as we look at their from production stage to their lifetime, the carbon footprint generated by these are way greater than the mentioned and the standard set for for the fossil fuels. So are we really going forward in the direction of having a cleaner sources of energy?
want to take it? Yeah. I have a very interesting example about Delhi going with electric vehicles. A lot of subsidies being offered to electric vehicles, and a lot of people are buying electric cars. Now, what is happening in case of electric cars also, the pollution is being shifted from Delhi, where the car is being driven, to wherever the electricity is being generated. That may have been generated in Orissa, Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh, which is again using coal as a basic fuel. Fossil fuel, like you correctly mentioned, 2/3 of the power generation is still using thermal electricity. Okay, similarly in your example also. So this is discouraging, but this is the first step. So cumulatively, in case we take various steps, for instance, I'll give you an example. I was working with Jindal Steel and Power, and they are into steel manufacturing, which consumes a lot of power, lot of coal. Now they're also working on converting coal to liquid. Have you heard of that, coal to liquid and coal to gas, CTL and CTG? So their efforts are being made wherein you can convert even fossil fuel into environmental friendly fuel. You know, fortunately, India has huge reserves of coal. Okay, and all the European countries and American countries, they had heydays whenever they had their industrial revolution and they used it. Now they want us to stop using coal. So we should get to use coal, but we should be smart enough to develop technologies which will convert even fossil fuel into environmental friendly fuels. You want to add to that?
Yeah. No, I think your question was more like end-to-end life cycle of renewable energy. Is that causing more emissions than a traditional source of energy? Is that the question? Okay. So, like electric, I mean, as far as we know, the given standard that I understand is that for creating 1 megawatt hour of renewable energy, the life cycle emissions will not be as much as obviously a coal-based power plant or things like that. So even if you consider the entire life cycle, for example, creating a wind turbine and then creating that equivalent energy over the lifetime of it, will not cause that much of carbon emissions as equivalent to this. If that was the case, the entire proposition of renewable energy will be at question, because if that was the case, I'm assuming, I don't know exact fact that this is the number for 1 megawatt hour of renewable energy causes so much of carbon emissions, because it has got its own production, transport and all that, versus a traditional source, but that will definitely have to be much lower. I am not a sort of renewable energy expert, but I'm taking that that way. And in general, if that is the case, then we should be doing that. If we move renewable energy, there will be reduction in carbon emissions. That will be the basis based on which even electrification of fleet and everything will start making sense. Even if we use an electric car in Delhi, we should assume that somewhere a wind energy has produced this electricity rather than a thermal power plant, and that would be the journey that we need to take.
I just wanted to add some eyes on that, like, this perspective, that there is a perspective around that, where renewable energy still cause carbon emission. Okay, that production of renewable energies is yes, it does at a certain extent, depending on the technology methodologies what they adopt. I mean, obviously, we are not like expert in that production of our renewable energies, because to run the turbine, there are some certain energy needs to be provided. That's what a common sense says. But there is another way of looking at it. So whether it is the fossil fuel or a manufacturing industry or us now opening up this 7 or 8 lights, causing some damage to the environment. But at the same time, there are other side of the people who are sitting and planting probably 4 trees, 5 trees, just on the basic level, okay, which is neutralizing the effect of the environment, okay. So we must think about how do we make an ecosystem to incentivize that part of it, because the development has to cause this damage to the world, whether it's carbon, whether this is part. But at the same time, if we can have the other side of it, where people plant the decarbonization or damaging factors, okay, and then incentivize them, okay, a mechanism to incentivize them for doing that, that is where the balancing factor would come in. So more of we develop and more of it is come, so then it will balance up, and that is where we should looking at. Merely having a renewable or green energy is not going to solve our issue or the problem or the global warming issue, what we're talking about. This is a way of achieving one step further. So that's like, a ecosystem and holistic way of looking at. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you. I think we are not taking any more questions. So I request the anchors to take over. Thank you.
On behalf of everyone, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our panelists for taking the time to share their invaluable insights today. I would also like to thank our moderator, Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal, for guiding us through such an engaging and interactive session. As we conclude the discussion, we would like to take a moment to honor and thank all of our panelists for sharing their valuable perspectives. We invite Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal to kindly felicitate our esteemed panelists. Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal will present a token of appreciation to Mr. Arun Arora. Following this, we request ma'am to felicitate Mr. Biswajit Majumdar. We now extend our gratitude by honoring Mr. Rahul Prasad with a bouquet. Lastly, we would request Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Utpal Nath. Finally, we invite our Secretary, Ms. Simran Jain, to felicitate Dr. Professor Sonu Goyal for her invaluable role as our moderator and for guiding today's discussion.
So thank you to everyone present here for participating in this felicitation ceremony, and once again our heartfelt gratitude to our panelist and moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the Corporate Sustainability Leadership Summit. As we conclude, let's reflect on the valuable insights shared by our panel. Mr. Arun Arora highlighted the integration of ESG and CSR within businesses through the 3 P's of sustainability, that is people, planet and profits, and proposed a 4th one, that is perpetuity. For a lasting positive impact, Mr. Biswajit Majumdar emphasized that achieving a good quality of life begins at home, urging us all to work together to minimize harm to the environment. Mr. Rahul Prasad shared the resources needed for nurturing society and the environment are now being utilized more effectively to build sustainable livelihoods. Finally, Mr. Utpal Nath stressed the importance of policies that decentralize the economy and incentivize corporates and communities towards sustainability at the grassroots levels. We hope this session has provided each one of us with deeper insights into sustainable governance, green energy transition, and community impact. We sincerely thank everyone, including our guests, participants, faculty, students, and the staff of IMI, for making this summit a resounding success. Now we would like to invite our panelists, moderator, and team members to join us on the stage for a group photograph to capture this moment. Just a second.
We would like to thank our title sponsor, NHPC, a Navratna company. Let's have a glimpse of the 50-year legacy of NHPC.
हिमालय की शांत घाटियों से लेकर भारत के जीवंत शहरों तक एक अदृश्य धारा बहती है। ये है प्रगति की ऊर्जा जिसे संजोकर आगे बढ़ाने में जुटी है एनएचपीसी। देश के स्वच्छ भविष्य को आकार देने में कंपनी के निपुण हाथों, बुद्धिमत्ता और कौशल का योगदान रहा है। ये गाथा है एनएचपीसी लिमिटेड की। भारत की सबसे बड़ी जल विद्युत कंपनी जो अपने 50 वर्षों के समर्पण और निष्ठा के साथ राष्ट्र के सतत निर्माण की राह पर निरंतर बढ़ रही है। ये विलक्षण कथा 1975 में शुरू हुई, जब एनएचपीसी का जन्म एक स्पष्ट और गहन उद्देश्य के साथ हुआ, जल की अपार शक्ति का देश के लिए दोहन करना और इसे ऊर्जा के एक स्थायी स्रोत में बदलना। तब
We would like to thank UTI Mutual Fund, our investor education partner, Abros Play Big, our sports shoe partner, Havish M Consulting, our sponsor, Piau, our sustainable hydration partner, RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, our co-sponsor, Adsat, our event sponsor, Key Proposals in Phoenix Global, our sponsors, Business Standard, our print media partner, PETA India, our animal welfare partner, Red FM 93.5, our radio partner, Radon, our bath and kitchen partner, Decathlon, our athleisure partner, Whitehaven, our entertainment partner, and lastly, Bank of Baroda, our summit sponsor. With this, we conclude the Corporate Sustainability Leadership Summit. Thank you all.